This is music, and this is Metal Tag 2024 edition. It's tag time. In January, there's a bunch of tag threads going on in the vinyl community. This is the Metal Tag 2024. We're given 20 questions to answer. It's all good fun. Here's my response to that thread. I suppose the Judas Priest album that's upcoming. I've heard one song from it, which I think is actually pretty good, but I'm not eagerly anticipating it because it's really expensive. All the pre-order packages, the cassette tape, it's insanely expensive. I'm not eagerly anticipating spending too much money on an upcoming album, even an album by one of my favorite bands, but I will pick it up, just the regular CD edition, and I'll probably enjoy it. I'm more excited about the upcoming Nemophila album, Evolve, I think is what it's called, because of the sheer musicianship in that band. So I really look forward to checking out what they've come up with on that album. I can do that. Deep Purple, The Battle Rages On. I don't think this is a bad album, but the cover is probably the best thing about the album. This is really difficult because I picked up a lot of really cool stuff in 2023 and I enjoyed most of it. I picked up a lot of old stuff, a lot of reissues, and I also picked up some 2023 releases. If I am to highlight one of my many favorites, it could be this one, Love Bites, Judgment Day. Top class, high quality power metal with some thrash metal elements. Also a very, very high level of musicianship in this band. They basically were one of the bands that saved power metal for me because I was getting really tired of power metal, but they showed me that power metal can be interesting, to me at least. Most of the stuff I buy these days is in physical format, but I'm not averse to buying stuff digitally. And I digitize most of the stuff I buy anyways, so I can listen to it on my iPod on the way to work and when I'm out and about. One digital purchase I made this year was Rav H and their album Welcome to the Rav H. It's a heavy metal project by Christopher Michael, who used to do the bass and to do the vocals in Axe Master. And I bought it digitally because I don't think it's out on physical format. If it is, I will buy a physical copy, but I don't think it is. One of such album would be this one here, Megumi Hayakawa, Secret Police. This doesn't look like a hard rock heavy metal album, but it is, and it's not bad. It's actually pretty good. It's probably Iron Maiden or AC/DC, one of those two bands. Are you kidding me? I think 90% of what I bought is blind bought because I love blind buying. I love the excitement. I love exploring new music that I don't know. So here is one of them. Soar by Mari Hamada. I was already familiar with her work from way back in the 80s, but I didn't have a clue what her recent output sounded like. So I blind bought this one. It's awesome progressive power metal. Really great stuff. Fantastic musicians that are involved on this album. And her vocals sound great as well. I can do that for sure. Obituary, The End Complete. My favorite Obituary album and one of my favorite death metal albums of all time. And Obituary, World Demise. Not my favorite Obituary album, but I still think it's pretty good. I have them on vinyl, and then I have them on this budget double whammy CD as well. And I used to buy a lot of these back in the day, and I still enjoy them because, hey, you get two for the price of one. I don't have these on cassette tape. I do have a bunch of hat tricks, though. I have some albums I have in all three formats, but there you go. Obituary, 2 albums, 2 formats. I'm just gonna go play it safe. Blind Guardian, Nightfall in Middle Earth. It's gotta be based on Tolkien's writings. So there you go. Bandmate, they put on a fantastic show, a little bit of theatricality, great musicianship. The shows are really long. There's some artist crowd interaction. They have very good songs too. Can't do that. I haven't lost interest in any of the stuff I bought in 2023. Also, I'm not sure I purchased anything enthusiastically, but I purchased a lot of stuff, and so far I find it all interesting and enjoyable. Very simple. Nobody's infallible. Moving on. I don't really wish any band would have quit while they were ahead. I mean, why would I wish for them to stop their careers? So I don't have that wish, but for sure there are some bands that, had they stopped at a certain point in time, would have finished on a high from where I am kind of sitting and looking at the world from my vantage point. But I don't think, that they've overstayed their welcome. As long as they have fans, they're welcome. But yeah, certainly I would say one example is Megadeth. Had they finished after Euthanasia, in my opinion, they would have had a strong discography with only good releases. I'm talking full-length studio albums. I know that Euthanasia and to some extent Countdown to Extinction are not really thrash metal albums, but they're still great albums and great metal albums in my opinion. So had Megadeth stopped there, they would have stopped on an artistically high note, I would say. And also, you wouldn't have had all the drama that appeared afterwards, with people getting fired and lawsuits and more revolving doors. And the discography after Euthanasia to me was very uneven. You had some very good albums, you had some albums that I think are very bad, and you have some meh albums. So I don't wish Megadeth would have stopped after Euthanasia, but had they stopped, they would have had only a strong discography. Of course, Josh Keach, his EP, Warrior in the Clouds Part 2. I subscribe to his channel. I watch a lot of his content, actually pretty much all of it, and I enjoy all of his videos. And he's a very talented guitarist, and he released this one here in 2023. Instrumental rock metal album, lots of genres, great guitar work, all the good stuff. So I bought this one as a direct result of watching Josh Keach's channel. I don't know if this one ends up suffering from it, but it is a good album that's a bit too long for me. Most of the songs are very good though, so that's not a problem. It's just like listening to it in one setting, maybe it's a bit too much. It's this one here, Hate Rush, and it's called Baptized in Fire. As you can see, a lot of songs on here. This is kind of a mix of Euro power metal and traditional heavy metal, kind of like slowed down Euro power metal. Most of the songs are very good, but it is a very long album with a lot of songs on it. So I don't think it suffers from being too long, but I do think it is a bit too long. I don't have a favorite band t-shirt, but I can show the one I'm wearing. That is Carcass Surgical Steel. I bought it at a Carcass gig when they were touring for Surgical Steel. And I also have good memories of buying the Surgical Steel album on CD because I bought it while I was in Japan. So I bought a Japanese edition with obi strips and all that stuff. Recently I bought the reissue on vinyl as well. So that's one of my, I don't have favorite t-shirts, but there you go. Yeah, I will say Maximum the Hormone. They started in the late 90s, so they have been going strong for at least 24 years. Their style is a seamless mix of, the core style is kind of like groove metal and punk, but it's a seamless mix of all sorts of genres from grindcore to bubblegum pop, and they keep churning out really interesting albums. So I would say they are artistically still relevant, at least to me. Eddie from Iron Maiden. It is my favorite band after all. And it's Eddie, the visual aspect of Eddie, that got me interested in checking out this scary extreme music called heavy metal. So yeah, Eddie. Let us do that. Right here we have the Discogs app. Let's hit this one here, random selection. This is not a metal album, but it's going to be interesting. It's Dusan Radic's soundtrack from the Genghis Khan movie. There you go. It's right here. Not a metal album, like I said, a soundtrack album, but hey, that's what Discogs gave me, so there you go. Now, I'm personally quite large when it comes to what I consider metal, because to me, metal purism, I'm not a purist, metal purism makes very little sense considering that metal itself arose as an amalgamation of lots of other different genres, including, the blues, southern rock, boogie rock, progressive rock, even a little bit of jazz, classical music, some surf rock too. So purism doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I consider a lot of the genres that metal purists consider false metal. To me, they're metal too. So glam metal, that's metal to me. Hard rock is part of the metal universe to me as well. Um, New metal, metalcore, deathcore, a lot of the alternative metal stuff from the 90s, including a lot of grunge bands like Alice in Chains, a lot of Soundgarden stuff as well. The first Nirvana album, a lot of that stuff I consider to be metal. Um, but the artist I'm gonna pick is a very divisive artist. A lot of people are completely obsessed with them, and their fans would consider it metal. Lay people, non-experts on metal would consider it metal too. Purists would consider it non-metal. To me, they are a metal band. That is baby metal. Now, first of all, the metal components of their sound. A lot of them do come from new metal and metalcore, but you also have like progressive metal and thrash metal and other things going on here. But because they come from metalcore and new metal and all that stuff, a lot of purists don't consider these to be a metal band. Another reason is that they are not like an organically created band, you know, like a bunch of sweaty dudes getting together in a basement. They were put together by a producer, and the members, like the singers and dancers, didn't know anything about metal before they got into the band, you know, became part of the project or whatever. And some people have a hard time accepting that. That's fake metal, so they think it's not metal. I disagree. I actually don't care. To me, it's important that I like the music, and I do. So, but that's another reason why people might not consider it metal. And I think some people also don't consider it metal because they were kids in the beginning and they're women now, and there's still some misogyny going on. But to me, this is a metal band. I'm not one of those fans that completely obsess over the band. I'm sure the baby metal fans would not consider me a true baby metal fan. I like 2/3 of what I've heard from them, but I'm not completely obsessed over them, and there are things I don't like about some of their songs and so on and so forth. But to me, they are a metal band. If you have a problem with that, too bad. Thanks for watching.